Hello? Beep, 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 beep. How are we? I have my phone ready, I have my pen ready, and I have some paper, which is what you're going to need if you're going to play along with me today. It's play along with the Jester. How the devil are you? Right. A couple of interesting things happening. So let's begin with the first. Come be a warrior teacher. It's 1st of November tomorrow. Yeah, going to start getting everybody on board. It's going to be great. Come and join us. We send out the stuff, get them in the WhatsApp group, buy me a coffee, whatever it is you have to do. Pay attention now. If you're going to play along today, you are going to need a pen, a calculator, or your phone if you're watching this on TV. It's on your phone, Grandad. You can watch it on the telly and do it on your phone. On your phone, love. Right, okay. Bit of paper, just so in case you want to make any notes, because we're gonna do some working out. Because we've had the budget, haven't we? I thought, here, it's a bit of fun. Let's do some working out, shall we? And then you can go and check my figures. And in fact, I would like somebody to get this even more spot on than we're able to with our time today. But nevertheless, let's give it a go. So let me give you some background about how this works. Okay, I've been in education for more decades than I care to bloody think about. Okay, now, so I'd go into a business, for example, or into an organisation who is business will be interested in the profit, and organisations are more likely to be about productivity. So there's those two things that are important when it comes to me saying, right, here's a course, here's a seminar, here's what I think you'll get out of it. So the salesperson says, how much is this going to increase sales? And I go, well, I'm estimating 5% if you can get it right. 5%. Right, and how much is it going to cost per person? £300 per person. Right, okay. And how many people can you take in the room? 12. Right? So the cost will be 3,600. We'd expect to see a 5% sales increase from the people that have been on the course. Peanuts, in other words. Salespeople understand this. Right? So the 300 quid is peanuts. Now, let's use that as the example. So what we're saying is that it costs £300 per person, but we'd expect to see a 5% increase in their productivity and their output and their sales, in which case it's peanuts, but that's what return on investment is from a training perspective. This was massive in the 90s and 2000s. Because they started farting about with e-learning and rubbish like that then. Or as I call it, reading. Just a load of rubbish, right? So we've had the budget. Old Rachel Reeves, right? Looks like a disgruntled HR manager from FP Gubbins widget makers that aren't quite successful as they'd like to be. That's what she looks like, doesn't she? Bless her. Eh, Rachel? See, so I've got my phone with my calculator on it. So we're going to play a game. It's called the EDI Return on Investment game. Because we had the budget yesterday, didn't we? And she screwed with just about everybody. Right? I mean, they actually thought they were doing us a favour with a penny off a pint. It's just beyond them. That's how thick they think the public are. It's absolutely devastating. So from a business perspective, you should look at EDI in the same way that you look at your sales training. Now, this is not always doable, and I'm being facetious to a certain degree. And in the future for business, it isn't going to be doable at all, because they've got an entire generation of people who've been taught by Ferrari and dickheads in classrooms that are going to screw up productivity, by the way, because they're passive, see? And it's really hard to measure how somebody goes from passive to being active. But, well, that's something else you could talk about with business and with the organisations we engage with, for example. So here we go, right? Let's start with a couple of questions and see if you can guess. Across the NHS and the civil service, how many EDI workers do you think there are? Well, the estimate is about 1,000 between the two of them. Could be a lot more, but I'm going to estimate about 1,000 just to be fair. Let's not take it too far, but let's go with 1,000. Right? So that's 1,000 people. Assuming for 1 second that those people that are employed are on £30,000 a year each. They're not. They're on a lot more, but I'm going to be generous, right? Then what you've got, if I put it in my calculator and you put it in yours just to follow along, is 1,000 times 30,000. And that equals 30 million. Now, You've then got to add on cost of pension, everything else that comes with it, buildings, all the stuff that goes with it. And the estimated figure is somewhere around 70 million. So we're going to start with a base figure of 70 million. Remember that figure, write it down, 70 million. That's what it's costing the NHS for EDI. 70 million. Right? Are you with me so far? Good. Keep up. 70 million. You got that down, right? How many employees are there in the NHS and the civil service? Well, between the two of them, there's over a million. So we're going to go with a million as a nice round figure. So you can drop that one down too. So there's a million employees, 1 million employees. Okay. Now what we need to work out is what the average wage is. Now, we could do it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to assume 30,000. Believe me, I'm being generous with that. Low. So I'm going to say there's £30,000 being paid to the average person. So there's a million of them, right? Getting 30 grand each. Yes? That's easy, isn't it? Right? So what we need to know is how much it costs to pay that person per day. So if one person is on 30 grand, the number of working days in the year is 250. That means it costs £120 to pay that person for the day. This is me being generous. £120 to pay that person for the day. Now, so if you want that person to go on a half-day EDI course, whether it's by, clicking boxes or going to see people and talking about pronouns, then it's going to cost half that. So that'd be £60. But there's a rub. Because if they're doing it, somebody else is doing their job. So you can double it back up again. It's actually £120. That's actually what it costs to send somebody on a course. Now, what we'll do then is make the assumption that not each course, there'll be 20 people in the room when they're doing there. And your pronouns are, I'm a Caesar. And your pronouns are, I'm a he, him. Right? So 20 in a course. Let's assume 20 in a course. So that's 20 people in a course costing £120 each. So 20 times £120 equals, yes, that's right, 2,400. And let's assume that each of those people goes on 10 of these rotten courses every year. That's 24,000. 24,000. Is EDI something that's specific to leadership? Is it something specific to staff on the ground floor? Is it specific to anybody? No. It has to be done by everyone, and it's often mandatory. In which case, there's 1 million employees across the NHS. 1 million. All of whom will have to do this. So if there's 20 in a course, the next thing we need to do is divide 1 million by 20. What do we get if we divide 1 million by 20? Because that will give us the number of people, the number of courses they're going to have to run. 50,000. 50,000. That'll be 50,000 courses every year, year on year, or every however long it takes them. 50,000. So that gives us a figure of the number of courses. We know that the cost of a course is 24 grand. So if you times that by 24,000, what do we end up with? 1.200000000. I can't even say that. Is that 1.2 billion? Is it me or is that 1.2 billion? Well, then you've got to add on the 70 million, isn't it? So it's 1.2 billion to 1.27 billion. If I've got the figures right. 1.27 billion spent on EDI. And I'm not taking into account everything, because then for those number of courses that you've got there, there's room hire. You're taking up a room. There's teas and coffees. There's lunch. So this is just a very base figure. If that average of 30,000 is out, it's not, and they're actually, most people are on more than that. The average wage, for example, is 38 or 42. Then the figure goes up phenomenally. But my estimate is that if the NHS is training everybody on EDI, and then there's 10 courses, that they're spending 1.27 billion. Now show me where the return on investment is on that. Because I can't see one, and I'm paying for it. And so are you. I hope you enjoyed that little exercise, because I certainly did. Now go and do something.